Good afternoon, once again. Welcome back to the Senate Committee on Government Operations meeting of Friday, May 8th, 2026. And our final item up for consideration is a potential amendment to S 298, which is the Voting Rights Act, which now, I guess, if we move along too much further, will be the voter protection. This came about, apparently, from what I'm led to believe, in the late stages of this bill leaving the House Government Operations Committee, and the committee felt they didn't have enough time to vet this properly. So I've asked him to come in and give us a little bit of a primer on what this does and how it came about, I guess. So welcome.
Thank you very much for having me back, Chair Colombo and committee members. For the record, my name is Tim Dufflin, Legislative Counsel. You have a very brief amendment, yes, it's 2 pages long and just will modify one of the definitions in 17 VSA 2901. We're in the campaign finance provisions of law here. And actually, the amendment as drafted, because this section is already been amended by the part of the bill, it's kind of replaces the entire section. So although it shows there'll be a amendment to the definition of expenditure, that was already in the bill as it came across in the House. So really the operative language is the second page of the amendment, which would change the definition of political committee or political action committee, what we call PACs. And if there's on paper, a simple change from PAC means any formal or informal committee of one or more individuals or a corporation, et cetera, or other entity, not including political parties, accepts contributions and or makes any expenditures in amounts to your general elections. And that or is being changed to an and.
I apologize. Can I just ask, so it's under Rick's name? Is that what the amendment's under?
It's here, it's in front of you. It's right. I think that Lynn kindly printed it out for everybody.
Yes, just for clarity, this entire time, Lynn has never printed anything out for me because I've asked her not to. You are the only folks receiving the printouts. So I'm asking related to the website, which section I'm looking at, and I see 3 potential options, none of them being the amendment you're describing. So if I could maybe have that posted, that would be really lovely.
Okay.
Oh, he's got an extra copy.
So what we have here is, in order to be considered a political action committee or political committee, 2 things, this amendment proposes that 2 things happen. That there's a acceptance of contributions and there have to be expenditures made. And then we qualify that for being within 2-year general election cycle for the purpose of supporting or opposing one or more candidates, influencing an election, or advocating a position on a public question in the election. It includes the legislative, legal, leadership, political committee. So I'm just going to read into the record something I already shared with the committee and happy to discuss that one. We'll come to it. So while seemingly simple, the effect of this change is that the entity can either accept or expend large sums without being considered a PAC, so long as it does not do both. And because it would not be defined as a PAC, said entity, that entity would not have to register or file disclosures in accordance with other campaign finance statutes until it accepts and expends any money. So, for example, under the proposed language, an entity already having, let's say, a large war chest that only expends $50,000, but does not accept any contributions, would not have to then register as a PAC, even though the registration threshold for political action committee is $500. In expenditures or accepting contributions. And this is because only political action committees must register, and the entity will not be a political action committee unless it does both, right? That is, expends funds and accepts funds. Similarly, if we kind of flip that, an entity seeking to build a war chest for a future election cycle that only accepts, say, $50,000 in contributions, again, does not have to, but does not expend any funds would not have to register, even though that threshold for registration is set at $500, or report subsequently because it would not fit the definition of being a PAC. So like PACs have to register and.
Under the amendment,
Yes.
the way the current, we did this a couple of years ago. It's
So-
not, I
Oh,
would
so
support
not-
this.
Okay, great. That's why I thought this was your amendment.
No.
And I was like, I'm very confused.
No,
Because this seems to be the opposite of what.
I argued really, really hard 2 or 3 years ago, or whenever we did it, to change it from that to or.
Yes, so where's the amendment coming from? I guess I'm confused now.
It was a request from, I'll just use a generic term, the House Government Operations Committee, and not any one particular person, that we at least consider this
Oh.
as, because they ran out of time.
Yeah, I guess I would just ask one question then of council. So just to give an example. So if I am a very wealthy individual and I want to set aside $300,000 this year of my own money to think about a potential campaign in 2026 or 2028 in that case, I wouldn't have to say that this year, but I would have to say that in 2028 still, if I were to use it for that campaign.
Right, well, no, because there's actually we're only looking at the 2-year election cycle. So essentially it kind of resets after 2 years.
Oh, so then
That's why
That-
I
okay.
wanted to change to an or.
yeah,
because-
that's my,
And it wouldn't necessarily be my campaign for Senate. It would
Yeah.
be, say, in this cycle. So I begin today fundraising, I raise $300,000. I don't spend any of it. The campaign cycle resets in 2027. And I decide that I'm gonna spend that $300,000 in opposition to ranked choice voting.
oh, yeah. Mhm.
I would not have to report either of those things because in the first 2-year cycle, I simply raised the money. And in the second 2-year cycle, I simply spent the money.
Yeah.
If we do this
Yeah.
amendment.
Yeah, I would
The way
say,
we currently have it, I would
You
have to
have to.
report both of those.
yeah,
things.
that's what I thought.
Which
Okay,
is
yeah.
what we want.
Yes, this is why I argued to change it to your.
We
Let's not
did-
use the first or the first person plural unless in other words, some people may not want to do it that way.
This is a device.
Oh, they did not. But
Opposed to
we-
we.
Right.
Can you,
No, but when we voted we voted as a committee, that was a committee vote to change it to or.
yes, yes, this was like.
That's all I meant.
Okay, which is again why I was a little confused that it came up.
Yeah.
But
it's
I'm
lovely.
doing what was requested, we are considering it.
And
Another example would be if I had the wherewithal to do it, I'm not raising any money. I have the money in my account.
Yep.
That would still not apply because I haven't raised it and then expended it.
Okay, that's,
So the way it is now, I would have to. report.
yes,
But the way this is worded is those persons would be exempt.
yeah, I guess I would say I really appreciate that there is someone who's concerned about this from that angle, from wanting to have to report less. I can see how you might want to do that, but I do think it opens up a landscape of people being ill-informed about what's funding campaigns or items, and I would personally not be in favor of it, because we've seen it before us, but good to always have the conversation.
Yeah, okay.
As far as I see it, it's sort of part of why we changed it a few years back was to sort of close the sort of dark money loophole.
Yes.
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 Is there an individual candidate or campaign that was feeling strapped? Oh, okay.
That's why I'm confused as I
Yeah.
came at such a late point in the session.
Mm.
Did you speak with the chair to understand? why?
I have, and I will again, because we're gonna have to either
Could he
put
explain?
the amendment in the bill, which means we've changed it, which means it goes back to the House. And as you well know, it's not a 24-hour process to go back and forth. They'll have to put it on notice, they'll have to vote absent suspension of rules, which can always happen. So it just delays this bill by a few more days to being passed. And we may, I said we, each of us may have a different feeling about that. We haven't even tried to talk yet about whether, this is better resolved in a conference committee or whether we just push this in or not, and then concur with the other changes that the other body made, which includes the charge for the Ethics Commission to be able to take questions in from candidates and then indemnifies candidates from not immediately filling out the form. I'm trying to use generic words that aren't politically loaded. I don't do a job. So those are our questions, and I don't know what the answer is. I'm getting a sense from at least 3 of the members that they don't want to accept this amendment.
Right.
I think on my behalf, and I'll let Senator Wally speak for himself, I will be in favor of it, but I'll certainly yield to the rest of the committee in fairness, and I can let the House Chair know how we feel, and then see whether he thinks that we should just go ahead and concur, or whether he wants to. Because I think it's an S bill. I think he's going to be in charge of requesting for a conference committee. I think that's the procedure.
So
There's a target. Yeah.
the other changes that were made are in purview of judiciary, and that was the private right of action was removed from the bill on the House side. And some of the criminal penalties were changed. And I think, and my sense of the Judiciary Committee is that there was not as much concern about the change in criminal penalties. There is concern about the private right of action. And I have concerns with that section for tasking the Ethics Commission to deal with all things the form. I am reluctantly willing to accept the suspension for 1 year of the penalties. It seems like there's lots of places. But there's at least 2, maybe 3 outstanding places where the Senate is not really in agreement with the House, so maybe it needs to go to conference committee.
And I did get a note asking today whether we were going to be able to move this or not. And I said, it's a judiciary, and person to whom who wrote the note to me said, no, it's not. They don't have possession.
No, it's on
You
the
have
floor.
possession.
Nobody has possession.
I was gonna say it's
Okay.
still on.
Yeah, so
Because it's up to us
So-
to agree with the House proposal.
So I-
change.
And I think the answer came from Senator Hashim that
Mhm.
he was done with it, didn't want to do anything more. So I don't, this has turned into a real quagmire. Senator Quest.
So, there is someone sitting in the room, perhaps to illuminate us on this discussion, given that you are here. Perhaps did Paul Burns do anything to illuminate the conversation on this particular amendment?
Go ahead, Paul.
I mean, I have to have the chair, right?
Chair, for the record, Paul Burns, Executive Director of BPERD. I wasn't sure what the amendment is when I walked in. I heard that there was an amendment of the PAC issue and definition. Having seen it, I am aware that there is a challenge with the language in it, and I could, if you were interested in it, could get others who might speak to their experience or concerns with the language as it stands in the law today, which even suggests a single individual spending any amount of money becomes a PAC. And I'm not sure that was the intent, but it seems perhaps even more sweeping than some would prefer. And I am open to the idea that it may be broader than it's useful as a matter of public policy. But it's interesting, we can describe different scenarios, but I do think the current situation, as broad as it is, any individual or set of individuals, et cetera, and having the or rather than the and, so that a single individual may not be raising money, but spending money. You don't want to I guess I would argue I wouldn't want a single individual to be classified as a PAC in that sense. So that is a kind of consideration that I heard from some. It is not the considered BPERD opinion right now, but that's kind of shared what I know.
And that's helpful. course, anytime we say, well, let's take it up Tuesday, again, we put the brakes on this bill again, for a few more days. I don't know what to do, quite honestly. I really don't.
Well, can I just,
Certainly.
so I am open, I just want to make sure I'm parsing out what I like and dislike about the amendment clearly. I am supportive of section A on the first page related to monitoring systems, protective detail, and cybersecurity related to the candidates. If that's associated with that, or that's just pulled over.
Pull over just.
Okay, so that's already in there. That was.
That's already,
Okay, I just rereading it, so really the only thing if it was highlighted would be the and on the
Yep,
second page. Okay, that's helpful. I guess I hear what you're saying, but when I read the definition, any formal or informal committee of one or more individuals or a corporation, labor organization, like if you're an individual, but you're not forming, if you're not, I guess also I would be concerned about a well-funded individual. And that's why we like to have.
That's why we did that.
that's why we did it.
It proposed the individual only political action, like we did this to capture exactly that.
Paul.
So maybe, Mr. Chair, there's just one other scenario that's worth considering. So I'll just use my own organization as an example. We set up political committees, independent expenditure and coordinating political committees to engage in the political work. But as the 501c4, we may still say you're endorsing a candidate, and or any amount of staff time by the organization spent in that could force the PER to be a PAC. But we've already created PACs to do that work. It didn't. There are. I just think it may go a little, it's challenging in that way, I guess. And I'm happy, I'd say I didn't walk in prepared with that, but that was just one other scenario that I've heard.
But that is very different from the individual.
It's right. These are two separate.
And maybe we should just separate it out into two different things. On the other hand, I'd like to know if you raise money and you're not, but if you've raised this war chest of money and you haven't necessarily spent it.
Well, especially because of the 2-year cycle, and that's where it gets into the sort of dark money aspect for me, and we talked about that before. If I had planned out a 6-year campaign against ranked choice voting, and I raise all my money in year 1 from all kinds of individuals and organizations, but I don't spend any of that money until year 4, nobody has any idea where that money came from. And I don't actually have to report the spending or the fundraising, because I didn't do both in the same 2-year election cycle.
Correct.
And so that is exactly the dark money problem, and the well-funded individuals who were spending to defeat certain things was exactly why we made this change.
And this amendment doesn't solve that.
No. This amendment is trying to undo that change that we made a few years ago.
Yeah, this amendment is undoing what we are wanting to do.
A few years ago, we changed it from and to or to solve that
I
problem.
remember. Yeah.
And now they're saying go back to and.
Okay. So
And we
And
litigated.
the question is why
I
to
think
them?
there seems to be a lot more discussion that has to be had surrounding this. And you're gonna have to receive a lot more testimony, I think, in order to solve this problem. That's just my own personal opinion.
Well, we can pass over it again on Tuesday.
But also, I'd love to just get the chair in again, or to whoever to explain why they did this. What was the situation?
Yeah.
I would just love to hear the problem they were solving.
I just feel like we just recently, we did take all the testimony.
No, I-
and made I know you weren't here, and made the decision to change it from and to or.
And then we've got the whole ethics commission, secretary's needs issues.
And I promised Paul Earl who wanted to come in, that we wouldn't bring any of that up.
Oh, well, I'm just,
And I'm the one that brought it up.
I'm just,
Because he wanted to come in again and testify, and I said, no, we're gonna stick with just the amendment.
and we have an election coming up, so.
I know
Well,
that.
so I definitely support the change that eliminates the penalty to candidates. Again, I reluctantly do so, but we can't figure out where to find form,
That's,
expecting candidates to do it. But I don't want to just pull it out, because I think the candidates that do find it, we want that transparency. I don't support the section 4 piece that passes the ethics commission, but now we're going down
So you don't
but then you have
support
the whole, but you still have the whole question. issues.
I think, but I don't think we can deal with it
No,
without a broader conversation, which is why I don't support making the decision in 298, which is what the House has done.
Okay, but again, now we've
Yes, we're.
gone where I said,
Yeah, I apologize.
that's okay. No, I was the one that brought it up.
We can talk about that with Paul next week. I'm happy,
Okay.
but
I think at this point, like.
Well, I think we are well aware of Paul's position. I don't know that there's anything else we can do.
but I think we're all in agreement about the first piece, which is not
Not
penalizing.
you.
Yes.
Oh, fine. Are we all in agreement about not penalizing candidates if they don't fill the form?
Yeah, I think that's only fair.
That's not fair.
I,
And I think the three of us
No.
are in agreement not to add this amendment.
Yeah, okay,
obviously,
and I accept that.
And I think the sort of two outstanding pieces, and I'll connect with Nutter, because I have a very different sense from him on the PRA,
Okay,
are the PRA and section 4, that section not to be discussed today,
okay.
the section thou shalt not be named.
Well, Tim, thank you.
that's now.
You'll be a wonderful weekend.
So we'll hear from that hopefully on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
and I'll have, John Bloomer pass over again on Tuesday, because we're not ready to concur or not concur yet. Or to further propose an amendment. Because if the TRA comes back in, that'll also be a change that
Right,
wasn't
so
in there.
could
since it
we
came out.
ask you, with chatting with Nodder about?
Yeah, I have been talking to Nutter about it, and that's why I was surprised to hear that he's like, I'm done with it, because when I talked to him last, he was like, I want that in there.
Okay, so, because I would love to have that back in,
Yes, me too.
and, so that would be good.
Okay, is there anything else to come before the committee today? And it's
Does
not
anybody have
that late.
poetry? Yes.
No, we can adjourn without having motion, but, yeah, okay, so
Tim, have a good
nothing,
weekend.
Thank you.
I will let you know, or Lynn will over the weekend. We are gonna take the field trip either Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday next week. I don't know which day. It's all up to DPS to get back to us. I'm assuming their staffing levels are somewhat smoother. So, okay, we will adjourn for the week and the